Hi guys, we're going to be doing a nested if statement where we want to see how we can actually work with our nested if. So there is one video that I've done, so I've just decided to edit it. So this was the part that I felt was not really done to the best possible code that was there, because it ends abruptly. One of the viewers actually reminded me of that, so I decided to actually just change the original code. So with our if statement, it goes as follows. First of all, I think we need to have variables that we work with. So for example, I can have int num and val, where I specify the values of these two. So num is equal to 12, val is equal to 23, like that. So we want to have our sets of if statements that give us various options. So set one if statement goes as follows. Okay, we want to say if our num equals our val. Okay, this comes as a set. Okay, if this is true, we want to have a statement. Otherwise, if it's not true, we also want to have a statement. So our statement will be printed we want to know what this is. Num is not equal to val, and then this printf we want our num to be equal to val. Num is equal to val, like that. So we need to put our new line so that we see how that works. We run it. We then get to say num is not equal to val. So that's true. At the same time now, we then also want to have another condition to say if our num equals 12, then we want to do a value. Num, we want to put printf, where we say num equals equals 12, like that. Okay, so if we run it, we only get that. The reason why we're getting num is not equal to val is because the first condition is already met. Num equals val. So we are saying we are equating the value of num to the value of val. So what that then means, this next section doesn't show, simply because our condition is not met, or our condition is not true. And since it's not true, we won't be able to display this block of code. Okay, that's one part of nesting. At the same time, there won't be any reason for us to put an else, because we already have specified one of the options that we want. Although at the same time now, if we were to do the same for our val, let's say we get that code, we copy it, we paste it there, and then we change and we say val, and then we put the value that is equal for val, which is 23, like that. If we close our program and run it, we'll then get num is equal to 12 because we haven't changed that. Sorry, that was my mistake. Let me just change that and say val is equal to 23. Val is equal to 23. I had not seen that mistake. That's the problem with copying and pasting. Please type out your code, otherwise you get errors like I'm doing. So here's what we are saying. We can't execute the first block where if num equals val. Okay, we can't execute that block simply because the first condition is not true. So we can't get to the next condition, which is if num equals 12. Although on the else part now, we execute this because num already is not equal to val. So what is val? Val is 23. And we're good to go. Also, we can then also say if we don't want to put it this way, we can also be able to change this and put a %d. We put a comma and we put the val, so that it actually gives us the value of val itself. Okay, like that. So we'll still get 23 because that's how we've put our logic, and that's how we've put how we want our code to be working, or how we would want our nested if statement to be working. So this is one way of actually working with our nested if statement, and we might want to have a second set of how we can actually work with our nested if statement. Okay, so we can select a set 2 of if statement, like that. Okay, so in other words, what we are then saying is we also want to be able to see how we can work with our if statement. Okay, so we can have another if statement that works with the same values or the same concepts, but in a slightly different manner. Okay, our operators, like we have learned in the previous lesson, we will still need to work with our operators. Okay, so since our operators, we know what they are, we've used them before, they work, or they help us create conditions. Okay, so we can say num is less than val, like that, and then this then can be able to run our if statement. So this then means we can put our printf there, and our printf gives us the following. We also need a new line. Let me just copy printf, since printf will use it both places. Okay, so we would want to be able to state and say true and false. False, like that. So we can run our program, and we're then saying our num is less than val, which is true. Okay, this then becomes the content that we've got, but maybe let's not make it as shabby as it is. Let's add some content to it, so that at least we can see how this works. So we want a new line, printf with a new line. Let's put 1 before that statement. Let's put 1 after that statement. Let's put, okay, I think that'll be enough. And then here we say if statements. Okay, if statement 1, and then there we say if statement 2, like that. So we've got if statement 1 and if statement 2, so that at least we see what each element does. So after if statement 1, we've got num is equal to val equals to 23. The next one is true, which is our if statement. So we are good to go, at least with the way we've put our code. We now need to just nest the second if statement. Okay. The next if statement that we would want would be as follows. Maybe in this particular case, let's have an if else as well. Okay. So we then want to control this section and put another condition. Okay. So we would want to say if num equals 12 and val equals 23. Okay, we then want to be able to put an if statement and an else statement, and then we specify what we want to give. So printf, we state that both are true printf, we then state that's not true, like that. Okay, so as long as we've got it like that, we are good to go. Let's actually run it and see. Do we make okay, there's no if there. That's the mistake that we made. Okay, so it states that both are true, so that's the second if statement. Okay, so it gets confusing if we don't put some more information on it. So let's just also say stmt1, and then this becomes stmt2. That also becomes stmt2, so that we at least get to realize that it's a if statement 1, if statement 2, at least for the bottom part we can be able to work with. This becomes if statement 1, and these are the contents or the content that we'll be putting. So basically what we can state about our if statement is that our if statement will need us to have an if, then we specify the condition that we want to work with. With that condition, we then put the action that we want or the content that we want. We can also be able to nest another if statement within that same statement, where we'll be able to we are looking to control further some of the conditions that we've put. And I've tried to put various conditions so that you can see how we can work with changing conditions, changing how certain things will be done, changing the overall output for our if statement. So this then becomes how we can actually use our if statements, and our if statements are just statements that we can be able to use to control how our program flows, some of the content that we might want to work with based on a condition. So we need to make sure that the condition is right, and then the else statement only executes if part of the condition is not met. So that is how our if statement works. So, correction to what we had just done. For our nested loop, we had said I is equal to 1, I is less than 15, I iterates. And we had said for I is equal to 5, I is less than 10, I iterates. So the problem that we were facing here was we're using one variable. So which then makes our loop an ending loop. So for us to fix this, we just need to simply say the following. We need to say the next variable that we want to work with is j, and outside of j, we need to also create room for this particular section of our loop and that particular section of our loop. So I can paste that and change this to j, change that to j, change that to j, change that to j, change that as well to j. If I run the program now, I'll be able to get the first values for I. I'm now getting errors for the value of I, but I'm still okay. I'm getting the values of I, but they're not in the same order. That's why we can't see. Okay, for us to see how this works, let's just put a tabbed control. Yes, that way we can then get to see what each element is. So what it then does now is it's just going to repeat. It gives us I is equal to 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I is equal to 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It continues, it continues, it continues until the end. So that's a little bit better than what it was doing. So at least we can see what our answer may be, or what our answer is. So at least from there we can be able to see how our nested if statement, nested for statement works. So that is our for statement. So the next statement we want to actually work with is a while statement, and the while statement goes as follows. We actually need to just name it as a while statement. And our while statement does the following, or we can use our while statement for the following. Okay, so we still need a variable. We can work with I, right? And our while statement does the following. We still need to initialize, right? We initialize I to be equal to 10. Okay. And then we say while, that is our statement, while I is less than 10, like that. And then we want to have a print f, and with our print f we want to add the following. I is %d, put a new line, put a comma, and we put I, and then we also now need to iterate the value of I. So we iterate the value of I. If we run it, sorry, I forgot an equal sign there. If we run it, okay, we actually need to rearrange this. I think that is our error. Logical error. Sorry guys, we just need to change that bit. There we go. Now we've got our while statement giving us the answer that we are looking for. So maybe before I end this video, I might need to introduce a small concept, but this small concept will still get to work with it as we work with our control statements and things like that. There's still one more statement that we need to work with, but I think I can add this bit slightly, and then we can proceed from there. So the next thing we want to actually work with is what are known as arrays. I'll just have a small intro, and then we will work with the next control statement in the next lecture. So here's what our array looks like. We need to declare our variable. We need to have the name of the variable. We need to have square brackets so that we can put values for our array, and then these values can be as follows. We say is equal to, and then we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, like that. So from there we can then also have a printf, and our printf simply gives us a value. So let's say we want a in brackets 0. We say equals %d, a new line, comma, a in brackets 0, like that. So if we run it, we then get to see what is at that position. So here's what our arrays pretty much do. They are pretty much our variables, but it's a variable that has got a specific size, which is what we've put in the square brackets, and we can be able to list all the values that we want to put within our array in the way that we have done. To put curly brackets, we put each value denoted by a comma until we get to the end of the array. So what it then means is each of those values we can also be able to display what those values are. So let me just do that for the next 4 values, and you can see what it does, and then we'll end the video. So this will be 1, this will be 2, this will be 3, this will be 4. So we get 1 again, we get 2, we get 3, we get 4. So if we run it, we'll be able to see each of the values that we've got. So it's 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. I'll catch you in the next one.